I don't care if you are listening to this and you're 21 or you're 78. Everyone should be trying to do something new and different outside of the box on a regular basis. Welcome to the Love Your Brain podcast, the podcast designed for everyday people who are ready to hop off the negative thought hamster wheel and enjoy a less hostile environment in their own brains. Our brains are where we live our entire lives, and I'm on a mission to help people see that they have everything they need to make it a happier place to be. So join us for this episode of the Love Your Brain podcast. Let's get started. Welcome back to the Love Your Brain podcast, or welcome if you're new. I am so glad you are here. If you haven't been following along, we just finished up a series called The Lies That I Believed. And it was all about some lies that I had grew up believing and how that changed the course of my future. And in that last episode, I was actually able to put together a pretty concise plan for how I and really anyone can use to rewire your brain, to how to reprogram those negative thoughts and turn them into positive beliefs about yourself. So, if you haven't already, definitely make sure you go back and check out that series. I think it's really powerful and hopefully will help you really change how you see yourself and how you see your future and what it can look like. So, check that out if you haven't already. Also, I did want to update you and let you know that we are still working on putting together a little virtual community of the Love Your Brain podcast listeners. And as soon as we've got more updates in terms of how you can participate, I will be sharing it here on the podcast. So make sure you are subscribed so that when those updates come out, you'll be able to hear about it in these upcoming podcast episodes. But on to today's episode. This one is going to be fun, just straight up fun, because here is the deal. A lot of us tend to do what's familiar. And that's how our brains are built to operate. They're built to create safety for us. And part of creating safety is usually sticking with the familiar. And although that's great and wonderful to feel safe, we miss out on so much when we're not trying to do things that are outside of the norm, especially when it comes to our brains and creating new neural pathways for us. Typically, what will happen is our brain will have a certain way of operating, and if we try to push it too far outside of that, the first inclination for us is discomfort and fear because it's unfamiliar and our brains don't really know how to process that. And one way to really get over that initial fear is to do it frequently. Expose yourself to the unknown, to the new, to all of that frequently enough that it actually can start to feel more comfortable. The unknown can actually start to feel comfortable. And that's what these exercises that I'm going to be talking about today are all about. And this doesn't have to be overwhelming because basically what you're doing is you are going to expose yourself to new and different things in tiny little tastes. They don't have to be, you committing to a whole new hobby that you're going to do for the next 30 years. It doesn't have to be a new thing that's going to be your whole personality going forward. It doesn't have to be that at all. It's more about making it an exercise of doing something new and different to simply allow your brain to see that something outside of the familiar is actually okay to try, that it's safe out there too, especially if you are someone that has experienced any type of trauma in your life. Typically, your brain is even more convinced. Those neural pathways are even more solidified that doing what is familiar is actually safer than doing anything new or different. And so it really does take these little tiny exercises in order to teach your brain that it is okay, it is safe to do something new and different. And I will say what's funny is whenever I hear someone have a knee-jerk reaction about something that they're like, "Oh, nope, that's not for me. That's definitely nothing I want to try. Not my cup of tea. It's not happening." That's usually the place where I tell people that's where you want to start because that tells me that there's something going on there that your brain is trying to keep you in the familiar to keep you safe. And there could be something worth exploring there. But again, this doesn't have to be overwhelming and scary. These are just giving you a little taste of something new. I remember when I first started going into improv, although they had improv classes that you could sign up for, there was also lots of other ways that you could try it. They would have these little classes, like, I can't remember what they called it. It was like an open house or something on Saturdays where you could come for just a few hours and work with an improv teacher to help kind of give you the basics of what improv is, how the classes are structured, and take you through a couple of improv drills so you can just see how it feels. They had open mic nights where you could go on and just try to do an improv skit with people on stage one time. There's lots of ways to kind of like dabble before you commit to, say, doing a whole semester of classes of improv, right? And that is the same way it goes for a lot of things out there. Dance classes, I know there's a similar that you can do a little drop in and just try a class and see how you like it before you sign up for all of the classes. So, even when it comes to like hobbies or new skills, there's usually ways that you can try it before you buy it. Also, there's even things in volunteering that can be really helpful in this regard to kind of allow your brain the opportunity to just dabble with something new. There's lots of volunteer experiences that might be a one off that you could try. Say, for example, you are someone that you are like, I am not a green thumb. I don't do plants. I cannot grow a plant to save my life. Maybe for you, it might be worth volunteering. Maybe you see there's a community garden that's starting up and they need people to come and help, just put a few hours in over a weekend. Maybe that's something worth trying just to see how you feel in that experience. And again, it's giving your brain the opportunity to see that it's safe to explore something that maybe you think you're not good at or that's unfamiliar, right? And maybe look at it a different way, that there are safe things outside of the familiar for you. Maybe for you, it's familiar to simply kill plants when you're trying to help them. But in this experience, maybe you'll have a different experience as you're exposed to new ways of doing things, maybe being exposed to people who are really good at taking care of plants, or maybe you find maybe you don't do great with houseplants, but you are phenomenal at growing vegetables. Like maybe that's your jam. There's so many new and cool things that can come out of it when you just give yourself an opportunity to just have a little try at something new and create that safety to show your brain, look, I tried that new and different thing that I thought I wouldn't be good at. Maybe I'm still not good at it, but at least I can feel safer trying those new and different things and allow yourself more opportunities to explore. I think back to a couple episodes back, I had shared a funny story about how my partner and I were going out to dinner and we had planned to go specifically to this one restaurant that was familiar. We knew the food was good. But as we got closer, we saw that next door there was a restaurant that we hadn't tried. I think I had tried it at a different location before and didn't have a great experience. It's not the type of food I enjoy, but he was super enthusiastic about it. And I was like, you know what? Let's just go for it. And straight up immediately when I got in the door, like my like red flags were going off like this is not going to be an enjoyable food experience. And truthfully, it was a dreadful food experience. It was like top tier awful. Like I don't think I've ever had food that bad at a restaurant before, but we laughed so hard the entire time about how funny it was, just how awful the experience was, and we still to this day laugh so hard that I would not change that for anything. I would do that experience a million times over because of what that did to my brain. It did show me that going to a restaurant that looks terrible could actually create an incredible experience with my partner that I truly think we'll remember forever because it was just absolutely hilarious. And again, that's just showing my brain that, like, yeah, you can try something new and different. You can even not like what you're actually experiencing in terms of what, you anticipated the experience to be like, but you can get something really cool out of it that you didn't expect at all. Or say, for example, you are someone that when you vacation, you like to go to tropical destinations and just lay on the beach for like a whole week. That is your jam. You just want to unplug and do nothing. But maybe on your next vacation, instead of doing that, I mean, you can do that for most of the time, but maybe Even if you're at a tropical destination, you find maybe they have like a little museum or something that normally you'd be like, ugh, I would never go to a museum on vacation. But maybe this time you try it just for an afternoon to go do an outing and check out a local little museum that they have. You don't have to change your entire vacation plans. Just take a little tidbit, try something new and different. Maybe you'll find you still don't really like the vibe of the museum, but I can guarantee you're going to have a different vacation experience when you go off the beaten path and go try something like that. And again, maybe it doesn't become your whole personality that you now are a traveler that likes to do all museums wherever you go, but you're showing your brain that it is safe and it is okay to do something outside of the norm and actually just plan that exercise for yourself, for your brain to go outside of what is familiar. There are so many opportunities in this world that we leave on the table that are just open and free and available to everyone that, maybe you don't do because, again, it's not familiar, it's not something you normally do. But check out stuff on like Facebook events or even Google like events, blah, 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 or volunteer opportunities, or, you can do taste of whatever. Like there's so many different things that can allow you new exposure to different types of people, to different types of hobbies, to different types of foods. There's just so many things out there to offer. I had a funny experience recently where I was at Aldi and I was shopping. And if you don't know me, I'm extremely short. And this has truly never happened to me, but there was someone shorter than me that needed my help reaching this item that was on a top shelf. And she was like, "I absolutely need it because it's something I get every time I'm here. It's my favorite thing to buy at Aldi." And I looked at it and it was mussels, frozen mussels at Aldi. And she was like, "Oh my gosh, these are the best things ever." She's like, "They're delicious, they're easy to make." She's like, "I even got my grandkids hooked on them now." And she was like, "Just get yourself some bread to dip in the sauce, and they're just delicious." And like this woman had me convinced. I am not someone who has ever tried mussels, let alone like do it yourself mussels that you get at the store. Like I normally if I'm at a restaurant, I would never look at a menu and be like, "Ooh, I want to order some mussels." But I was like, this woman is all in on these mussels. You know what? I think I should give it a try. So I snagged the mussels, I made them at home. Were they my most favorite thing in the world? They weren't. But it did create a little bit of curiosity in me and safety in that curiosity where I now think if I'm at a restaurant, especially like if I'm traveling, I might actually order like a mussels appetizer or something because it just created that little bit of curiosity in me that was like, huh, that could be fun. These tasted okay. Like, can you imagine if someone actually knew what they were doing and made them? Like, I might actually really enjoy them. Or heck, even if you're at a buffet and you see a dish that like normally you would be like, "Oh my gosh, I'm never trying that." I don't care how old you are. Like let's get out of this like I'm just going to do what I enjoy and try something new and different that you might think you actually might hate. Like just give it a try. See what you think about it. Again, it's creating that safety in our brains to try something out of the ordinary. Try something that maybe you might like, maybe you don't, but in and of itself, the experience of trying that thing is creating the safety in your brain to start building those neural pathways that things outside of the familiar are safe and could be fun. There's just so many things like that. Or maybe there's a sport that you've wanted to try and you've never tried because, well, maybe you just don't think you'd be good at it, or it doesn't really look fun, but you have a friend who's, gonna go play this, game. Maybe you tag along one time just to see what it's like. Maybe you don't even participate. You just go along to watch and kind of get a little taste of it. See what it might be like when you're a little bit closer to it and see how people are experiencing it and their joy. That little taste of that experience could create a scenario for you where you're like, huh, maybe I do like that. Or maybe it's not for me, but that was fun to try. And now my brain feels a little bit safer to try something new. There are so many different ways that you can incorporate this exercise in your day to day life. Maybe it's taking a new way to work. Maybe there's a new route. Maybe you don't normally go that way because it's not efficient for you, but you're like, you know what? I'm going to try this different route to work and see what it's like. Maybe you'll discover like a new coffee shop or something, or maybe you'll just get a different perspective on your neighborhood or appreciate something new about the landscape that you see on the way into work. But all of these exercises will create a positive experience for your brain. Because the truth is, when we are under stress, when we are living in this trauma brain, we are in survival mode. And part of survival mode is your brain just keeps taking you down the same familiar things over and over again. And although that does create a sensation, typically of safety in your body, you can train your brain to find safety outside of the familiar as well. And there are so many ways to do it. Hopefully, you've connected with me on social media. And if so, send me a DM. Let me know what ways that you have tried recently where you've tried something new and just that experience, maybe it didn't, you know, change your whole life trajectory, but it's given you a little bit of curiosity and safety in that newness because truly there is so much fun to be had. I don't care if you are, listening to this and you're 21 or you're 78. Everyone should be trying to do something new and different outside of the box on a regular basis because it is such a good, helpful exercise for our brains. So, hopefully, you found something helpful in today's episode that maybe you're going to try and do something new and different. I'm so excited to hear back from you guys on what things you have tried. And I just hope you have an amazing week full of new and different things that are creating safety for your brain the more you try them. Have a great one, guys. I hope you found something helpful here today on the Love Your Brain podcast. Maybe a laugh or a feeling of validation, or maybe just a few moments to have company while you do your laundry. Whatever you take from it, I hope you enjoyed your time and leave feeling empowered to be more you every day. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on the next episode, and leave a review. I'd love to hear what you think. Have a great one.